Are you tired of your cockpit looking like this? Now your cockpit can look like this.
Left side, clear on the left.
And I'm going to show you how. Hey everybody, it's Medic Frog. Today I'm going to be showing you how to install RaceLabs, how to customize RaceLabs, and give you a final product review of what my POV looks like for what I use RaceLabs for. If you like this video, please feel free to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, as I usually post other videos on how to install or use other iRacing content, as well as posting shorts for my streams, which are found on Twitch at the link right here. Thanks. All right. The only thing you need to do is go to this website right here, and I'll walk you through the rest. This is the RaceLab website. Up here in the top right, there's a download RaceLab button. Click that. It'll automatically start downloading. When that's done, just double click it. It's an automatic installer, just like how Crew Chief is. Once RaceLabs is downloaded, this screen will open up. If it doesn't, hit your start button. Type in RaceLab and run as administrator. Hit yes. And it should pop up now. The next thing you want to do is you want to sign in. Once you hit sign in, RaceLab will direct you to this website. All you need to do is sign in one of the 4 options. Either Google, Twitter, Twitch, or Discord. I sign in through Twitch. It'll automatically log you in. As you can see, it's got my statistics up here in the top. And for iRacing, you want to click this button here in the top left if it's not already selected. All right, so over here on the left, you have all these different overlays that you can choose from. The ones with the diamond indicate that you need the Pro version of RaceLab to utilize them. And if you look in the non-Pro overlays, there are some features that only a Pro member can use. This is indicated by the word Pro and a blue diamond next to that feature, or widget, or item, whatever you want to call it. For an overlay that you want to use, if you look in the top right, once you click on the overlay, you'll have these 3 buttons in the top right to choose from. First one is overlay, open in overlay mode. Click that. That will open the overlay. Next to that is a locked or unlocked button. This gives you the freedom to move the overlay around if it's in the unlocked position. Once you like where it's at, you can click lock. My computer plays some stupid noise when it happens. And next to that is the auto open button, which I turn on for everything, so that way I don't have to worry about attempting to open overlays that I use for races, as they just all show up. Under the general tab for most overlays, there is an option down here that I always turn on, and that is hide in garage. Since most of these overlays are useless when you are not actually in the car, they just take up extra screen, especially if you're in a race where you're a spotter or at least a teammate and you need to be relaying information to your driver that is in the car right now. You don't want your screen taken up by this information if you don't need it. So I turn hide in garage on, except for the track map, so that way I can kind of plan ahead for my drivers that I'm working with in an endurance race or so on. Another thing I wanted to mention is that if you lose the location of your overlay, if you don't know where it's popping up at, or you accidentally slide basically the whole thing off your screen except for a little pixel and you can't see it, this button right here in the top right, this P with a little half circle, quarter circle around it, little quarter arrow, this is the reset position, and that will reset it to the top left of your main monitor. A useful thing about RaceLabs is that it doesn't have to be on top of your iRacing cockpit. If you have multiple monitors like I do, since I have another monitor here, I can actually move some of this stuff out of my way and onto another monitor. I just prefer it to be right in my tunnel of view, so that way I'm not turning my head 45 degrees or so away from where I'm looking to get the information that I want. It's really quick for me to just glance from center view up to top left or top right to get a standings or relative, or just down to about, 2/3 down the screen to look at my advanced overlay, or to the right to check the weather. So just keep that in mind if you run a multi-monitor setup, that you can move these overlays off your main screen and off to the side. When you open an overlay, it will pop up, and it's usually in the top left or maybe even in the center of your screen. So mine pops up in the top left. When you open it, it's usually in the unlocked state, so you can move it around easily to wherever you want it to be, either on screen or off screen. So for me, I moved it up to my upper monitor. Now I can move it over here, which you can see it right here, or you can have it wherever you want. As I said, I prefer my information close to me so I can easily look at it and get the information that I want. Down here in the bottom, under General, you can do a couple of things, even with the free version of the game. A big thing is scale. Usually it starts out at 14, which for me, that's pretty massive. And size matters. That's what my wife tells me, at least.
What did he say?
So if you don't want it that big, which not many people do, you can just turn the scaler down. I use mine at 10 or 11, and it makes it just a little bit smaller. If you don't have a lot of monitor space or monitor screen like I do, you can turn it even lower. Although this, you might need a magnifying glass for, so good luck with that. So I keep mine at 11. It'll scale everything to that, to all of your settings as you scale up or down. You can change the widgets. A couple of them can only be changed for the free version. I have the pro version, so I can change all of these things. But if you look around the outside of the relative box, there is a lap, which is the top left here. It says 0 out of potentially 57.6 laps. The top number 2 is incident count. Top number 3 is local PC time. And then on the bottom down here, you have the session timer, lap counter again, which I can change that. Remaining laps, kind of change that too. You can change it to whatever you want. If you look at down here, there's a lot of things. Air temperature, car name, DRS indicator, gearbox, lap counter, oil temperature, you name it. It's in there. And if it's not in there, send RaceLabs an email. Maybe they'll fix it. Driver info. You can change how your driver looks. So if you don't like the fact that you can see their first name, then we can get rid of that and make it first initial last name. Boom. Or we can make it just last name. Boom. Or we can make it initials. Boom. Or we can make it first 3 initials. Whatever you want. Or you can make it their full name. It's a long, lengthy process, but first name, last name for me works every time. Pro version is that you can move your drivers ahead and drivers behind. You can add more or subtract if you don't like it. Free part is that you can change your car class, so this will add the colors of the car. If you're a dirt road racer, you can turn on the Joker lap option. And then a couple other things that I like to run are fast laps and last lap times. This will give me information on if a person in front of me or behind me is consistently running quicker or slower, so that way I can expect them to be close to me in a certain number of laps, and potentially have to deal with them in the closest amount of time. So my relative sits up here in the top right. The next overlay that I use is standings. This standings page can be split up into classes like this. So you have your top class, which is gold, middle class, which is blue, and slower class, which is red or pink. You can turn that off if you want, and you can just look at the class that you're in. You don't have to worry about seeing the other classes. Lap times, again, another good one. Fastest and last are good, so that way, because not everybody in front of you or behind you in track position is necessarily going to be for a position. So it would be useful to see if you're gaining on the person ahead of you in position while losing time to the person in front of you in relative. Maybe because the person in front of you is a class faster than you, so you shouldn't expect to catch them at all. So keep that in mind. You can also see pitted lap information, stint information, if they're on an outlap or not. For me, this pops up in the top left of my screen. Okay, so you kind of understand how you can go into the general tab and change some settings around, make it more customizable to you. I encourage you to look through every one of these tabs. There might be an option that you don't want that's enabled or you do want that's not. You can change that as you go. But the one thing that I wanted to show you is the Hide in Garage tab, which I told you about earlier. So, as you can see, let me open up all of my overlays to show you what my cockpit looks like. So this is what my POV usually looks like. Sometimes you can get rid of things like the weather, the pit limiter. You can even get rid of the fuel calculator. In most cases, you don't really need all of that information. I like to run a lot of oval races. Pitting is not really that big of a deal for me. Fuel is not really that big of a deal. And weather usually is never a factor in oval races. But if you're a road racer, which is what I'm kind of prepping this video for, you may want that information, especially if you're in the C class, B class, something where the weather can affect the race, where you can kind of prepare for, change in strategy, how much fuel you have left, and if your pit limiter is engaged or not. Okay, so as you can see here, I have two things that are not turned off in the garage. Everything else is still running, but it has gone away. And if I were to hit practice again and jump back in my car, without touching anything, it would all pop back up. And then if I were to exit the car, everything but the pit box limiter and the track map would disappear. That doesn't mean it's not there. It just means it's away from from sight right now. In order to enable this, all you have to do is hit Hide in Garage. So, for example, here's my weather monitor, and I have Hide in Garage on, which means it should be right here on the right, but it's not. Now, in some cases, you may need to click a box or a button that's behind a overlay, and in some instances, you may not be able to. Like, if I were to go up here, I can't click out of RaceLabs. What the heck? Why can't I click this button? You hear me clicking the button, right? It's not working. That's a simple fix. Because if you look up here at this unlocked button right here, what is up here in the top right? My relatives. I go up here to the top right. I hit lock and move this back. Now I can hit whatever button that it was on top of. If I were to unlock it, boom. It goes right back to being annoying and not letting me click on that button again. So make sure that once you get your overlays into a position that you enjoy, that you think is useful, hit the lock button so that way it's not interfering with clicking buttons in your race session or even on your desktop, as it can still affect clicking just regular desktop icons because it likes to sit on top of applications, but it goes invisible if you have it hidden in Garage, or even if you just log completely out of iRacing. RaceLabs is still there, the overlays are still there, but you cannot use them and you cannot interact with them. They're just invisible. Thank you for checking out this video. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on YouTube or Discord. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more content. Have a good day.